Good evening, everyone. I'm hoping that everyone can hear me well. This is Sister Yaffa. I believe today is Thursday, March 17th of 2011. This would be show number 8, and 8 was supposed to be the magic number. This was supposed to be the final show in a row back-to-back before I resorted to doing this show only the last Thursday of every month. A lot of people misunderstood. For some reason, people are under the erroneous impression that I'm giving up doing the show altogether in its entirety, and that's not accurate. What I said is that I'm not going to be doing this show every single Thursday. I will do it the last Thursday of every month. Now, it turns out that the last Thursday of this month just happens to be next Thursday. Therefore, we're going to have 9 in a row. I have been asked whether or not I would be willing to at least do the show every other Thursday. I have not yet made up my mind about that. By the time I conclude next Thursday's show, I will know. I will go with spirit and see what comes to me, depending on how things are going. Now, I was bringing you guys through in order to restore America and to revive America, revitalize it and resuscitate it, to acquire any level of restitution. I was giving you some historical background on how this mess got to the point that it is. But I've been moved by spirit to not go into the next phase, which was going to be to get into the legal stuff. And the reason for that is because right now things are impending quickly, and the mess is closing in very quickly on the doors of America, which most people don't see what I see. And I'm certainly not attempting to frighten anyone. There's no reason for fear, particularly if you are melanin rich, because you have something that a lot of people don't have. But I need to help you activate and trigger that which you are innately linked to, which is what they call the power of the spiritual. It's been beat out of us as a people. It was driven out of us as a people. We had the demon religion or the beast religion shoved down our throat. And for people that don't know, there's a lecture out that's called Piercing the Fog, and it's not the one on YouTube, where I expose who the beast was. Based on my research of words, I've determined that what you call Jesus is the beast. And I have people going, oh, no, Jesus just means the son and this and that. And, people go round and round with me, and I get very weary of it with my people. I can only point to you my discoveries. You can take it. You can leave it. That's the best I can do. I'm not going to attempt to make anyone believe what I'm saying. It's not my job or my responsibility to shove anything down anyone's throat. There are going to be things that people can keep up with based on their level of research and the amount of information that they have. And then there are going to be things that I'm going to say that are so far-fetched and sound so far removed from reality that people are going to be like, okay, she's crazy. And I accept that, and I can deal with that. I have no problem with it. I don't become annoyed or insulted by those that haven't seen what I've seen or haven't found what I found, and as such cannot accept my findings. But there's an example. Remember I told you guys about how a lot of these things are just ancient blood feuds that people have been dragged into, and they just don't know that. And I recall telling my people about something called Weirgild, W-E-R-G-I-L-D, which is a man's price. This is ancient European practice, especially Germanic practices, Italian practices, to pay for blood, that whole blood feudalism that can only be stopped by composition. And the United States was in the process of being a composed entity, but people ran through here and started creating a lot of division. Now, before I start giving you guys the spirituality, I'm going to have to tap back into some of the historic, because this is an example of what I'm talking about. on March the 16th, I noticed an article out on the Internet, and it's called Blood Money Freeze CIA Contractor in Pakistan. This is a prime example of what I'm talking about, the feudalism. The individuals had to pay $2.34 million in blood money to the man's family for the death. And all of this is going on and on around the world, and people are fighting people over things. They don't even know what the feuds are about, what the history was, because they just don't look back that far, particularly in the United States. Now, there has been this earthquake in Japan, and I thought that was very interesting because I have to give you some more stuff. Like I've been telling you guys all along, all roads lead to Rome, and that little inbred faction of folk that were disbanded out amongst the rest of the people. And there are certain levels of inbred disability, physical, and there are certain levels of inbred crazy. And some levels are crazier than other levels. And the craziest levels are in the most strange places. So this is what I was looking into I was looking at something else, actually, and I tripped over this in my Columbia Encyclopedia. Now, this is a connection between, at least I see it as such, because I see these connections between everything going on. And I'm a big picture person, and people want to nitpick me about names and dates and times and, when and when. Do your own research and find out that. I can give you the big picture because I'm a big picture person, but every now and then I can find names and dates to give you. But I'm not the one for all the little trivialities because I am a big picture person. I am more right-brained than most people. So I see things as a whole, as opposed to the left brain that sees things in fragments and composed little parts. But anyway, the military company of Jesus is what St. Ignatius of Loyola called what you guys call the Jesuit militia. And he became the head of that order and the general of it. And they are coadjutors. They're out here starting a lot of stuff, but people don't see what they need to see. Now, one of the primary reasons he originally set this whole Society of Jesus up, or the Jesuit militia, was because he wanted to get a limited band of individuals to go into the Holy Land to convert Muslims. Now, these individuals, they started out as he started out with 6 little cats, and they were young cats. They were like teenagers, somewhere between the age of 16 and I'd say 21 on the oldest end, if that. Now, his 6 companions, as of August 15th, 1534, were the Spaniards that followed him were St. Francis Xavier, Diego Lainez, Alfonso Salmeron, and Nicolas Bobadilla. Now, the Portuguese cat that followed him was a guy named Simon Rodriguez. And then he had a cat from Savoy, a Savoyard, whose name was Peter Faber, F-A-B-E-R. Now, the Pope sent these cats into Italy because they weren't able to go into the Holy Land and do what they wanted to do because of a particular war. So they were sent into Italy so that they could oppose the Reformation. Now, St. Francis Xavier was considered the most brilliant foreign missionary in the East, and his work continues in the East to this very day. Now, the mission in Japan that they set up, because like I told people, Japan had killed off what they thought was all the Christians, as did China at one point. But the mission that they set up in Japan ended in a bloodbath in the early 1800s. But later, in 1865, they found that some of the descendants of the martyrs that died in the bloodbath were still alive in Japan. Okay? And I submit to you that these very people that they're attempting to extradite back to the United States are some of these same people. They're probably a particular bloodline based on some of the damage that they did to the people over there. And as much as everyone is concerned about iodine and radiation poisoning, I'm thinking that, when they nuked Nagasaki and Hiroshima, I don't recall anybody taking these kinds of steps as far as iodine and preventative measures on the western seaboard of the Americas. However, that is something that's being put out there, and I'm not saying that it's wrong or that it's erroneous. I'm just saying I think it's an interesting turn of events when it seems to me that that would have been just as big an explosion, if not equal to it, that people should have been under the same care or that didn't go through the same thing. Now, I'm not saying it won't get in the jet stream and it won't get on, in certain air streams and find its way here through the water or through the air or through the food or what have you. I'm not saying that, don't worry about it. I'm saying melanin-rich people don't have to worry as much about it as other people. Now, it seems to me more of a